Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. Today we're going to be looking at Blissey Miltank. It's a pretty frustrating deck to play against, and it's a pretty simple one to pick up, where we're trying to flood our discard pile and board with energy cards to load up the one attack that our Blissey V has here, our sort of main attacker in the deck, that has just for one colourless, 10 damage, plus 30 more for each energy attached to this Pokemon. If you did any damage this way, you can attach up to 3 energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. Note that it says energy, not basic energy, which means we can fill the deck full of some nice special energy, which gives us some additional value throughout the game, and in some instances means that individual energy cards are doing more than just the plus 30 each time. Double Turbo Cats for 2 energy does have a minus 20 on it, but it's still an extra plus 10 per energy attachment, and can be used with our secondary attacker Miltank, and we have powerful colourless. So you can actually stack up, you know, a sizable amount of energy to this Pokemon, which is fantastic because it's going to be sitting around on the board. It's got 250 base hit points, which is massive, and we're going to try and use the Cape of Toughness you can see on the side here to push ourselves up to a 300 hit point 2 prize Pokemon. That's, you know, more than most V-Stars, so that's pretty insane. And we are looking to cash in on this Blissful Blast as much as possible. Because we're retaining energy and pulling it from the discard pile, we can also use some great cards like Hyper Potion to try and heal our Blissey and get more value out of it. Yes, we are sometimes minusing our own damage, but if you're keeping a Blissey healed and on the board, it's going to be a big deal. And these 4 copies of Hyper Potion are a big reason why we actually have a pretty decent time into most Palkia builds, because we will try to not fill our board, and we will just Hyper Potion and keep stacking on to one Blissey the entire time. So we're not giving them free bench damage for their subspace swell, and we are constantly trying to draw into our next Hyper Potion and heal things off. And you can even see a high Avery count here, which is helpful against Palkia and helpful against Regi's, which is otherwise a pretty bad matchup for you. So important to have the Averys in here as well. The reason why this deck has sort of come out from Astral Radiance a lot stronger than previously, because Quad Blissey was a bit of a rogue deck previously. Now we have Miltank, and it has the miraculous body ability saying that it can't be damaged by a opponent's V Pokemon, which creates the deck, well, turns the deck into more than just like a tempo-y Blissey deck, into much more control-y and resource intensive for the opponents. It has a route attack for 2 colors. You do 10 plus 20 more for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but it can be enough to 1v1 against other non-V Pokemon, especially when you consider that this can also be hit with a Cape of Toughness, going up to 160 hit points. That's really annoying. And again, we have Hyper Potions we can use, and we have Cheren's Care that we can use on the Miltank, so you can slowly route your way through whatever answers your opponent has, meaning that they have no valid Pokemon to get through the Miltank, and then the game just kind of ends as you route through them, or they concede. One of those two things happen. On ladder, they usually concede. That's been my experience so far, so hopefully we can get some full games in today. We'll have to see. But yeah, Miltank is a win condition in his own right. We're playing 2 copies to try and make the most out of this card. Naturally, the sort of 4 one prize Pokemon can help skew the prize trade regardless, but throwing the Miltank in the mix can be very annoying for certain archetypes. We also play 1 copy of the Celebrations Yveltal, that Cry of Destruction, getting rid of 3 specials from your opponent's Pokemon, very important against Mew, which I think is otherwise a pretty tricky matchup, unless you happen to stick them with Path, or your hammers happen to be incredibly good at flipping heads. We're going to need things like Yveltal to really slow down the roll of a Mew, especially because they can be filling their board with Fusion Energy and doing a huge chunk of damage into that Blissey. So getting rid of those is going to be important. Even caping up things like Yveltal is going to be really important to try and make them play down those power tablets, make the opponent spend as many as possible. So even caping these little dudes is going to be a big deal here, because it's all about the resource game. We're trying to run our opponent out of stuff a lot of the time, be it attackers that can get around Miltank, or just run them out of damage as you slowly chip away at them with a Blissey that's getting slowly bigger and bigger. That's kind of the idea. We are playing 1 copy of Radiant Greninja. The Concealed Cards ability just has great synergy here. We naturally play 17 energy, so we have a lot of things to Blissful Blast, and getting additional cards throughout the game is never a bad thing, so a great Capture Energy target in the opening stages, which is always good. Yes, we play our own copies of Path to the Peak, so it's not the be-all and end-all, but it's a little bit of help here and there. Just be aware of that little counter synergy that you have going on, and be careful when you're sequencing. The trainers are as simple as possible, really. We're playing 4 Hammer to slow people down, for Hyper Potion to heal our dudes and still be tanking. 1 Hisuian heavy, because basically all of our Pokemon are good to get out of those prize cards. And obviously we're playing a couple one-offs. You don't want to play too many more because you still want good odds of starting your Blissey or your Miltank. Playing some gears to help access the variety of supporters that we have. Couple switch carts, a little bit of extra healing, as well as pivoting. It's an upgrade to switch in every way in this deck because we play only basics. The path, very good, obviously, for Palkia and Mew. This is huge. It can even slow down Arceus players sometimes as well. The Avery is going to be helping us draw cards, which is never a bad thing, but again, helping against Regi's, which is one of our weakest matchups. Now, we could play Dunsparce. The reason I'm not is that we don't play Manaphy, which means if we come up against a Regi that is playing the sniping Alecki anyway, they'll deal with the Dunsparce pretty quick sharp, so it doesn't make too much sense. It may change their game plan slightly, but not massively. So at the moment, I'm just on a high Avery count and hoping that's for the best. It's also just good against Palk players, so it's good to have a high count. 3 copies of Boss for chasing things down. 2 Cheren's Care, great on both our colourless dudes. Some Researches and some Zinnias to give us some discard synergy for our huge energy count, which we play. And then the 4 Cape of Toughness is vital. They go well on literally everything because it can sometimes force more resources. Actually, a quick note on the energies, I guess I should say. So the powerful colourless means that for 1 attachment we can do 60 damage. That's relevant for knocking out Sobbles and Mews and stuff like that, which are actually quite abundant in the format right now. The double turbos are 40 damage per attachment because you get the minus 20, but it's extra help for the Bliss, which is great. And it means that alongside the 2 twin energies, we have 6 outs for our Yveltal or our Miltank to get in there and attack for 1 attachment. And then we just play 3 copies of Lucky Energy as extra card draw that you can spam with your Blissey as well, which is great. And the captures are going to be our main search for Pokemon. We try and keep a thin bench in most instances because we're trying to make our opponent go for as much meat as possible. So that is the idea. It's not the most interesting or entertaining deck in the world. Sometimes you're just dealt the hand you're dealt, and that's what you got to play with. But some people aren't playing sufficient tech cards right now to deal with this sort of archetype. And even those that are, they can get tempoed out by having slower starts and whatnot, or us just grinching stuff. So seems pretty reasonable. Before we get into our first game, a quick note from our sponsors over at Omnipoke. It's the Potown store. Go over and check them out for all your PTCGO code needs. You can use code Omnipoke for a 5% discount on your order as well. Let's get into things. Looks like someone is aware that they are up against us. We're going to be going second here. It's no bad thing that Blissey can attack on the first turn going second, of course. You can get a ton of energy in the discard pile and try and load up Blissey proactively. And that seems to be already what we're going to try and eye up here. Pretty strong hand overall. The Zinnias is obviously situational at how strong it is for draw here. But it looks like we are up against Regi's. And Regi's, like I said, is a pretty tricky matchup. But we are going to try and just spam our Avery. That's going to be our biggest win condition here. We have weakness, or sorry, they have weakness on us with the Regi Rock, of course, and there's not much we can do about that. So we're going to try and get ourselves in a better position here just by hitting their board as often as possible. Maybe run them out of stuff so they can't just like Giga spam. But this, admittedly, is one of our most tricky ones. So the opponent has got this so far. Okay. I think I like firing off the gear first. Do I like Capture Energy first, actually? Capture just for another Bliss. Seems fine. I could also capture Greninja and just get rid of the Lucky, and then I have a 9-card dig for a better supporter. That's also kind of a good idea. Let's do that. So we have all 3 Averys. That's going to be the most important thing. A Regirock only knocks us out with a belt if we have a cape. So that's another important thing here. Path of the Peak not doing much. Let's try and get towards that. So Boss isn't too helpful, but we'll take it pre-Zinnia here. We'll draw a few additional cards. Cape is massively important. Don't really feel the need to play these hammers. Let's just swing our Lucky Energy on. This is one of our trickiest matchups, admittedly. So they're going to try and get things rolling with their Gigas here. They're going to move out of the way into the Alecki and play a research. Getting rid of some Aurora here. One of their rods down is obviously important. Let's see if they're able to get the full Regi gang rolling. You see the Regi Rock come into play. If a Static Shock us, it's... Oh wow, they belt active. That's kind of strange because much better if they belt the bench, honestly. They also give us the card. That's pretty spicy. So the path does slow down our Radiant Greninja. I guess the 50 is relevant in that it makes me Hyper Potion, probably. Let's Zinnia away. The hammers, I think, just have to go. I don't think they're useful at all, honestly. The only thing about getting one hammer heads here is that you can't just immediately Gigas 3 to the Regi Rock. I think I should get rid of them, though. I think we're going to have better cards in here. Okay, well that gives me a better Hyper Potion. So we'll get the small 70 chip damage in. Terrified of them getting their next belt to this guy. There's the research. They've got rid of 2 rods so far. They typically play 4 these days, though. There's another Aurora. We've not managed to hit any of our Averys yet, which is a real shame. They are playing a split of Path and Stormy, which opens up our Greninja again, which is actually pretty important right now. I'll be honest, that's going to be big for us. They've got the full suite now, so they can power up a Regi Rock if they want to. The good thing about Regi Rock is he can't chain his attack, so it's a small bit of help there. We get a Lucky Energy card, which is nice. So let's draw a couple cards. So if I boss Blissful the Regirock, they have to get their next Regirock and a pivot card. And I start that chain of like them having to have lots of things. If I heal, we're at 3, 6, 7. I could heal my way out of 280 range, right? No, I can't. I would need to also have an accompanying Switch Cart, which I don't. So I think we're going for the boss route here. And if I'm bossing, we're at 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, minus 2. So I need to attach to knock out the Regi. I think it's still our best line. I mean, I can get responsed by basically everything if I don't heal, though. I should be healing. Force the Regi out. Okay. We just have to talk these things through. So I'm still at 3, 6, 7 here. So I can attach the powerful here, here. I think I play the path, even though it unlocks, or it locks up my Greninja. Actually, I shouldn't, because I should have as many draws as possible towards Avery, right? Yeah. Let's do this. We have our other Lucky in the bin. So I'm drawing 2 cards at the very least here, at the cost of a Regirock slaying us. Gear is a nice card. It gives us a 9-card dig to one of our Averys. There's the free Alecki. Then I'm going to load up the Alecki as well. So the Hyper Potion was a little bit weird there. It just means... Oh, so they actually prized their Regirock, but they do play 2 Hisuian heavies. That gives us the information that they can pay retreat next turn and do the stuff on us as well. Huh. Okay. So let's draw some more cards. Let's see if we can hit an Avery here. Okay, well, as they say, it's something. I'll do this so they may not have the easy free retreat option, or pay retreat option. We'll Blissful Blast up. We're trying to just draw into our Averys. That's all we want to do. Cycle the Avery. That's the only way we slow them down. There's rod number 3. Looks like they're playing the triple threat of Alekis. They also got rid of a net. So the full gang is back. They got rid of a net though, so why do they not retreat net and swing with the rock this turn? It's a little bit strange. The Greninja is fine. I don't care about the Greninja. The 40-40 is like clever, but so we don't get towards a we just have to boss here, right? We know we have their other Regirock in hand, but we try and make them have the pivot, knowing they've played double net so far. So there's rock number 2. There's the belt, so the 40-40 didn't really change much. You can get a couple free cards. And we're getting hit with a Marnie. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because we have no Avery in our hand. So now we have 8 cards to see if they hit us this turn to find an Avery, and we hit it off the 4. I say 8. Oh no, it would be 7. It would be 7. Because the 2 lucky energy are not active. Looks like they're having to do the Dragon's Horde instead. The giant fangs coming in. Okay. So Avery looking very good here. For obvious reasons. How good is heal Switch Cart attack with the bench? We're at 5, 10, 13. Okay. Yeah, I think it's Switch Cart Hyper Pot. We are on a bit of a tightrope, but we're starting to run them out of stuff. They are 3 rods down, lots of Regis down. We know they have 1 more Aleki. We imagine they have 1 more Gigas. Okay, there's their final rod. So I think this is going to come down to if I can heal this last Blissey in time. Or to get out of range of their final belt, basically. Looks like their hand is very well equipped right now. We go Drago, Aleki, Marnie. We've got two very chonky Bliss. The final Avery might be the nail in the coffin that we needed. It's just a we shall see moment at this point. So both Rock are in the bin. They still have one Gigas. They still have one Drago. They still have all the pieces. So we just need to heal up on him, basically. Oh no, they don't have the Rock. So they're out of Regi Rocks. Yeah, they're just done. Avery's got there. It's definitely a sketchy one. Definitely a sketchy one. The turn they bossed to KO the Greninja, I think, was probably the turning point in the game. If they just pay retreat net the Regirock that turn, they just body us, right? Probably. I don't think I had enough energy left on my last Bliss at that point. And I think they just had enough reload. So I think we got a little bit lucky there. But that is admittedly one of the harder matchups. Regi's is an extremely popular ladder deck. I don't know if it will be as popular in tournaments, I'll be honest. Not that it's bad, I just think it's so above. Like, it's probably the most popular deck I face on ladder right now. Just because of accessibility. And that's probably a little bit skewed. Alright, Zigzagoon. Let's lead out with the powerful pass. I don't want to play Path of the Peak proactively. We'll see what our opponent's playing first, because shutting off your own Greninja is painful. Looks like they're playing their own Radiant Froggo. I know Turbo Palkia plays both of these cards. Turbo Palkia isn't without its answers. It can play some. Oh, it's a dark build. Turbo Gengar, perhaps? Or if it's Zigzagoon, it could be a Samurott Turbo deck. Oh, spicy. I say Turbo. Not knowing whether or not it'll have the speed cards. Ah, so they have an answer to Miltank right here. There, coming out swinging with the Absol. Alright. I think it's a pretty solid Zinnias here. I think I'll get rid of both energy. We play so many energy that it makes sense, I think. I don't really want to get rid of any other card, so... Let's see what's in the prizes. Sure, I'll take this to hand. Why not? Seems like a card that I have to put into my hand right now. We'll path to try and shut down the V-Star power and the Greninja. And we'll just route here. Pretty fortunate to hit the Hisuian there, so we can actually get a bench guy. Because they can be threatening a KO here with the Claw Rend. With Mooncleave V-Star, it's all possible. They'd have to Mooncleave, and they'd have to Patch Attach. Okay, so the Zig gets around the need for Mooncleave. They play double Zig. So now we need to see Patch Attach shenanigans. Interesting. They have lots of nets. And a research, okay. I imagine if it's a turbo-style engine, they'll play a high dark patch count. I'm thinking like 3 or 4. Even though Samurot's an efficient attacker. Okay. Been well on those. Getting a hit in on Absol is pretty awkward for him because it means he'd have to play nets just to retreat it. To get... He'd have to have like double pivot to Dark Patch to it and do more. If I research and hit like... Hyper Potion, it's also extremely strong. The boss is maximum tempo. I think I like research most though. I think it's our safest plan. We hit Switch Cart and Hyper Potion. I could Switch Cart and get a hit in with Blissey. You can just get Miltank number 2 out of deck. Let's get this Blissey in circulation. We're trying to sort of spread his resources a little bit thin, right? We're trying to make him Mooncleave through a Blissey and then trap the Samurott and route it. The Switch Cart was so good to heal here, though. Up against an Absol. So they're playing a couple, so they've should definitely faced their fair share of Bliss tanks by the looks of things. They've had it up to here with Blissey Miltank. They play their own. Okay. I like drawing a couple cards here. So, if they're just going to wait I don't mind waiting. Honestly. We can probably just chill. Look to boss next turn. Like, pay retreat route just sounds so bad. Although it can be a knockout, right? Because I've got so many powerful colorless. But then how do I respond on a guy next turn? On an Absol? I really want my Cape of Toughness to be live before I start coming in with these Miltank, so let's just chill. It's Evo Incense. Looks like they're just drawing a little bit funky here. Right, we will see a net. Alright, let's see what we see off this. Cheren, not too great. Pay retreat route looking worse now. I think we just keep chilling, honestly. I don't want to go in with Miltank until I have capes because of this damage output. Boss is pretty nice. So it looks like they're eyeing up a Samurott KO here. Okay, they do run into research. Alright, so we're going to see the Merciless Blade here. I think the Blissey is still fine to pull out a deck here. Don't see a real reason to not pull it out of the deck. I think we're going boss KO the Zig. They still have their V-Star power, of course, but... we are running low on boss. I guess I just route. I'm definitely conscious of how many cards they have remaining. Because once we get into our capes, we're going to be in a good spot of just heal bouncing them. Okay, we're going to see a boss from them. That's completely fine. We get the free turn out of him. Let's just take it for what it is. We see a Marnie. They definitely like to hit their last net here. If they can net and do Absol stuff, it's obviously very good for them. Temple of Sinnoh could slow us down a little bit as well. Means he can Mooncleave Star and retreat. Finally, a cape comes. How many boss down are there? Just one. So I can't in good conscience put the Greninja down. The captures aren't doing anything right now, so it may as well just be a twin active. We'll just route here. They're gonna patch. Another Samurott. Have to be careful of Samurott, because the regular V can remove tools, remember. So it's not completely irrelevant text if they just get away to hit us for 120 here. Something going to attach to Miltank. Is it a retreat route play? Yeah. That's a pretty well-timed Hyper Potion. It's important to keep this boy healed. We have Switch Cart for next turn if he wants to route. You can Switch Cart DTE. Keep the Milkman nice and healthy. Yep, just gonna be a route. And we get through the Miltank. It has a Raihan. Could be pretty spicy here. Maybe they can come up with something. It's going to be net Zig, so they can hit us for the 120. And like I said, it's actually a pretty scary thing to do that against us because they have the boy. Whatchamacallit? The tool removal guy. The regular V can score a knockout on this Miltank, as long as we can't heal it. All of our capes come after we've suffered a couple knockouts. It is what it is. Alright, the temple is back. Gonna be interesting resource rise if they have the outs to beat us here. I'm happy to just do the regular Blissful Blast. I don't need the temple to bounce right now. Powerfuls are the strongest. So it's a long, grindy game, but we're getting there. Looks like they're done. Alright. Looks like our opponent was respecting the Miltank, but still, you can see that we can navigate it, right? Their answer wasn't a clean-cut answer. And it's hard to find basic attacking non-V Pokemon that can't, or that can hit that 160 that we're representing. So, a couple nice wins with Blissey Miltank. Sometimes you get those freebies. I think those games showed off the strengths of both of the cards, honestly. Blissey was integral in a matchup where the Miltank wasn't, and then Miltank was integral to the other matchup that we faced. So, yeah, it's a decent combination. The two pair very well together. You do have some awkward hands sometimes, and you're just kind of left to do what you can with what you're dealt. But, yeah, it's a strong archetype. Let me know what you guys think about it. Was Blissey always good, or was it Miltank that's the perfect partner that makes this actually a top contender? I'll hear your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.